Hi guys, my name is Norman Seymour, and I am a senior here at Texas A&M Commerce. The purpose for this video is to satisfy the educational requirements for my Capstone II uh, class and to receive the necessary credits in order to graduate with my doctoral degree in organizational leadership. Um, I'll be discussing four main questions or four main topics: who I was as a leader before I started the course, what I've learned during the course, what kind of leader I will be from this point on, and finally my plans moving forward. Just to give you a small piece of information about me, I am a real estate agent and CEO of the Seymour Realty Group. Uh, we On our team we have six different real estate agents that we mentor and guide through the real estate process or real estate transactions that they have with their in particular clients. Um, Leadership for me started at a very early age. I am the oldest of three boys, and my mom was a single parent, so I had to take charge fairly early. You know, if something needed to be done at home, I couldn't call my mom and say, "Well, mom, should I do this?" It's just something that had to be done. So I had to take the initiative to make sure that that got done. It followed me all the way through my high school years. Um, as a senior in high school, I was the cadet ROTC battalion commander. Um, so of course, leadership, was definitely a prerequisite for that position, for that particular position. Um, Of course, thereafter I went into the military, and I served in the military and leadership there as well. Um, it was a different kind of leadership, though. You know, back then it was more of a coercive slash situational type of leadership, um, but very very coercive. You do what pretty much what you're told to do, and that was it. Um, but now that I've gotten older, gotten a family, and of course, started my own company, and now that I'm leading other individuals in their young careers, coercive leadership is just not the most conducive way or productive way to be a leader. Uh, it kind of that actually leads into the first class that we took, which was issues in organizational leadership. Um, Back then, there were very few different styles of leadership. You could be a persuasive leader, or you can be an authoritarian. And based on the type of leadership style that I was always accustomed to, it was pretty much authoritarian. You do what you're told, um, and that kind of leadership may have its place even today in the military in some situations, but for the most part, that ship has sailed, if you will. Um, Data decision making one, we kind of dove into how data is gathered, and in what way statisticians, mathematicians, scientists, will all gather data for separate reasons, for different reasons. Um, but That's kind of what we got into in our first uh, DDM one. Ethics. Ethics is something that I deal with on a daily basis within the real estate community. Um, right is right and wrong is wrong, but then there's an ethical manner to it that um, you have to keep in mind. Just because someone doesn't meet all of the contractual requirements doesn't mean that you necessarily get to keep their deposits or anything like that. You have to make the ethical decision. So within Ethics One, we talked about um, how ethics plays a role in a decision making process within a company. kind of moved forward a little bit. Went up to leadership theory one. Again, how you are a leader, what you do as a leader throughout your journey, uh, really reflects on how what kind of relationship you're going to have with your subordinates or with your team members. One of the things that I've learned during this course is communication. Um, I always pride myself on being able to communicate with my clients throughout the entire real estate process. And through this journey that I've had, that I've gone through while here at Texas A&M Commerce, I've actually learned that communication is a much broader and much more in-depth thing that topic that I need to improve on. Um, several of my team members have always told me, said, "Well, Mr. Seymour, if we would have known this, or if you could have told us that, we could have made this decision, or we could have made that decision." And it wasn't as if I wasn't trying to be communicative, but I was thinking maybe common sense. But you can't use that. You can't use that. For me, the leadership theory and the ethics classes, kind of hit home for me simply because I live that life on a daily basis. Um, the decisions that I make for not only my company but for my family affects a lot of people. I have 6 different real estate agents who work for me, so that's 6 different families. And based on the decisions that I make, it will reflect on the decisions that those people are able to make with their families. So being ethical, um, um, being transparent, and being communicative is very, very, very important. Another thing that um, really got my attention is when we did the SWOT analysis. That was really, really interesting. It kind of digs deep down into the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, the threats of your organization, or of the organization of your choosing. Uh, I in particular, I chose my organization to do my SWOT analysis on, and it was pretty eye opening. It really was. The numbers didn't look the same. uh, definitely didn't uh, definitely didn't feel the same when you look at the bare bones of it. So that's what I did with my SWOT analysis. Leading change. I made the comment in my e-portfolio that leading change for me is easier said than done. And the reason it's easier said than done is once you become a leader, once you become a manager, and you become accustomed to that particular lifestyle, it's kind of difficult to for you to hear someone to come in and say, "Hey, listen, you need to do this or you need to do that." It's pretty hard to do. Uh, but if you want to be a successful leader, and if you want to if you want your organization to be successful, then that's something that you have to take into consideration. It may not be you may not be a CEO, or you may not be upper management, but data can tell you just as much. A data analysis can tell you exactly the same thing. If your data is telling you that you're not running your business correctly, and because you don't want to hear it, and you decide to move forward with what you're doing anyway, yeah, that's not going to work right. So it's been a pretty eye-opening experience. My Capstone one, I did 2 interviews with 2 different individuals that I know, and one was for a nonprofit, and the other was a for-profit. And one of the most interesting things that we talked about, or that was discussed, was leadership. The type of leadership that individuals my age had to go through in order to get to the position that they're in now, and the type of leadership that they have to lead with now are completely two different types of leadership. Completely. And that may sound as if it's a very simple situation, but it's actually not. If you're used to um, being in a situation to where you come to work every day for the next 20 years, and you're not late, and you do your job, and you do what you're supposed to do, then you'll automatically get promoted. That's not necessarily the case anymore. Uh, your age doesn't matter. If you can't do the job, or if you can't do the job to specific specifications of what the organization needs you to do it for or do it with, then you become irrelevant. Even if you own the company, it doesn't matter. Um, so you kind of have to take a step back and look at the broader picture. And it takes a sense of humility. It takes a very, very big taste and spoon of humility to be able to say, "Hey, listen, I need to do this differently. I need to make this. I need to make changes." Um, Capstone II was, of course, a accumulation of all of the different type of leadership styles that we studied throughout the course, um, all into one general, I guess you could say, paper. Um, your take on the paper, how you feel about what's happening with that. Again, my final paper, I didn't focus on my particular company, but one that the company that I chose was Texas Instruments, and we dug deep into it. Um, I'd just like to say that I'm very, very grateful for the opportunity to Texas A&M Commerce for being able to allow me to participate in this degree program. It has been difficult. It caused a couple of sleepless nights, um, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful to be at this part of the journey, and hopefully you guys will see me again in the master's program. So for now, we're going to say bye, and thanks again. Take care.